it going, folks? Hope you all are having an awesome time while you're listening to this today. We're rocking another solo episode. I had a lot of fun during my last solo episode, so I figured I would try doing this a little bit more. And obviously, we're still going to have guests and do all of that, but we're just experimenting with stuff and we're going to have a good time. And I've got some stuff I want to talk about, so that's the way it's going to go today. As far as how we're going to start today, I wanted to read to all of you because the book I'm reading right now is off the chain crazy. And that book would be Wicked. I don't even know who it's by. Gregory Maguire. So my sister's a big fan of the play, and then her and my mom saw the movie, and they both cried during it. Everyone and their mother seems to like it. It seems to unify across political lines. Everybody is down for Wicked. So I figured I would give the book a shot. One of my friends had a book, and I was told that the book was a little bit darker than the movies and then the play, or than the movie and then the play. And I was like, okay, whatever. I like fantasy stuff. And holy smokes, this book is off the chain. So I'm just going to read a little excerpt. And to preface the excerpt, in the book, there are regular animals and then animals that start with a capital A that have like a conscience and can talk. And they're just like humans, except they're animals. And that's the difference. You got regular animals and then conscious talking animals. And the Wicked Witch of the West, her name is Elphaba, and she is currently fleeing. Spoilers, the book apparently is not similar at all, or is very barely similar. She's walking from this place to another place, and it doesn't matter, but we're going to read the excerpt. A couple excerpts and go from there. The huge wattles of old flesh beneath her small chin wobbled. Her toweling fell to the ground. She was naked and old and strong. What had seemed like boredom was revealed as patience, memory, control. She took the very hair off her head, and it uncoiled down her back and disappeared. Her feet moved massively as if seeking the best purchase, like columns, like pillars of stone. She dropped her arms forward, and her back was a dome. Still her head was up, her eyes the brighter, her nose working mightily. She was an elephant. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. They're kind of dancing around, blah, 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 blah. Where did it go? The elephant raised her trunk and sniffed the wind. Her rheumy old eyes blinked slowly, and her ears moved back and forth, raking the air for nuance. She pissed hugely in a steaming flow with dignity and nonchalance, eyes firmly latched on Elphaba. Y'all, this book is full of crazy shenanigans. Sometimes you read a sentence and you're like, what was that? First of all, there's a lot more sex in this book than I was expecting. And I'm not going to talk too much about the plot. If you want to read it and you've seen the movie, apparently it's different enough to where you're kind of going to be like, whoa, this is crazy. It's very dark. It's very sort of political. It's like political in like a world building sense of the land of Oz. It's not like really a commentary on politics itself, but they use politics to build the world. And I don't know where this book is going because it starts with a chapter where the Wicked Witch is kind of spying on Dorothy and the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Lion. And we have yet to make any sort of reference to anything else other than the Wizard of Oz is mentioned. They've seen him already. Her and Glinda the Good Witch from the movie. And it's like half dark fantasy, half high school drama, half political terror. book. Anyways, it's a trip. This is what I'm reading before bed. I just finished a book. This is another bedtime book. The Lake Erie Campaign of 1813. I shall fight them this day. That's Commodore Perry. And the battles of Lake Erie. And this was a pretty good book, pretty quick read. It's not too big. My mom's boyfriend has a lake house in Catawba, and so is my buddy Sean's parents. And so we spent some time down there, or up there, and this was a cool read. You've got the Perry Monument on Put-in Bay Island. Put-in Bay is awesome. If you never been there, definitely worth checking out. My friend Marissa, who was on the pod, used to live there. And so just finished that the other night. As far as other books we got going on, my sister got me a book on podcasting, and I've only read a little bit of it. I haven't read it since Christmas Eve when we were driving to and from Kentucky. And it's weird because the person, I think it's a lady, Amanda Mayo, who wrote this book was in broadcasting, radio broadcasting. And so she's kind of writing a book on how to podcast. This was published in 2019, and she comes at it from like a radio broadcast perspective. And so there's like some good stuff in here, but a lot has changed. A lot has stayed the same, but a lot has changed in podcasting since 2019 as well. And there's certain things that I'm doing in this podcast that it's like, don't do. It's like, give your audience breaks. They don't want to pay attention for too long. And there's no breaks in here. We don't take breaks on the Fowler and Friends podcast. We just plow right on through. And so I'm definitely going to keep reading it, but I haven't read it in a while. And then the book that I just started yesterday that I'm really excited about, George Washington, Military Genius by Dave R. Palmer, former superintendent of West Point. My dad read this book and recommended it to me. I got on an American Revolution kick. It was always a subject I was fascinated with. We learned about it in 5th grade and then a little bit more in depth in 8th grade. But during the time of when Tay was nearing the end of her pregnancy, I got and read this book called The American Revolution. Also a shorter read, kind of, by Gordon S. Wood. What was cool about that and what it was that what I was expecting was a recount of the battles of the American Revolution. And what it was really more about, with the title being The American Revolution, was more about the evolution of the mindset of the American people and what led up to the war, what was the mindset during the war. And, there was obviously loyalists, and then there were rebels. And leading up to the conclusion, the writing of the Articles of the Confederation, the loose alliance between the states before they decided to form one nation. And so it was pretty eye-opening. Even if you know a decent amount about the battles, I felt like it was pretty cool from just a zoomed out perspective and kind of to dive in onto the just the mindset of Americans at the time. I thought that was very interesting. It kind of got me on a history kick and wanting to learn more about that era. And there was a quote from that book that really stuck with me. And the quote was from Thomas Jefferson. And so it's not technically from the book, but they use it in the book. Dependence begets subservience, and venality suffocates the germ of virtue and prepares fit tools for the designs of ambition. And so the reason I like that quote is because in my life personally, when I have found myself overly dependent on something, it can be a habit, it can be a person, it can be whatever you're dependent upon, you become subservient to. And so you lose freedom to that which you depend upon. And so that's not to say I don't lean on my family and I don't depend on my wife and, all the things that a lot of us depend on people for. I think of it in terms of like an overall alliance. Like if you really just depend, like I shouldn't have to lean on my wife for all these different things if I can just do it myself. Obviously I still lean on her for guidance and whatnot, but I'm an independent person. And if you're overly dependent, it begets subservience. Venality, meaning that, like you're somewhat overly reliant on money, like kind of open to corruption or bribery, that sort of thing. And, oh wait, I lost the quote. And suffocates the germ of virtue. So yeah, I mean, and I think I've seen that in my own life, where if I try and hide from something and I become overly dependent on something else to avoid what I'm working on or something that I know I should be doing, it definitely makes me feel less virtuous because I know I could be doing better. And so I start to feel that crushing weight, and you start to feel a little bit more anxious. And so I really like that quote. That was something that stuck with me and made me want to learn more about it. And so this book, even though I just started yesterday, the George Washington Military Genius book, the first bit spends a good amount of time talking about strategy versus tactics, and how the word strategy wasn't even used in the English language until after the Napoleonic Wars, when one of his advisors started using it and started to kind of write these philosophies on the strategy of warfare. Anyways, it's just sort of setting you up so you can understand how Washington and some of the other founding fathers were thinking about the conflict, in terms of like, you kind of have like the political side, and the main goal is the political side of things, and what is the end goal of the war, basically. And then the strategy determining the when and where of the battle, and then the tactics of how to fight the battle. So the tactics help you win the battle help you win the war, and then what is the end goal of the war, sort of thing. And so it's basically setting the scene to then break it down. It's like, okay, now using that perspective, let's analyze what George Washington had to go through, what he had to think about, and that sort of thing. And so that's sort of what I am reading about right now. George Washington one, I probably won't read too much before bed because I'll get sleepy and fall asleep. Whereas the Wicked one, that's like my nighttime read, because it's fantasy. And so if I start to fall asleep or get sleepy and want to be done, I can just stop, because I'm not really learning. I'm just kind of following along the plot. And it's not like I'm a crazy Wicked fan or anything. So I'm not like, super invested, but it's good enough. Anyways, moving on from what I'm reading, I thought it'd be kind of cool. Sometimes people ask me kind of what it is I do, day job wise, and kind of what my day is structured. So I figure I would just kind of go over what my Monday morning looks like, and then we'll move on from there. On Mondays, I have to get up at 3:45 in the morning. This is not like a rise and grind sort of thing. This is I have to be at Orange Theory Fitness Westerville by 4:30 in the morning. So I wake up at 3:45. I try my best to have lunch and breakfast and a snack packed beforehand. I'll drink a glass of water, put my clothes on, brush my teeth, pack my backpack, and I'm out the door by 4-ish. Takes me about 20 minutes to get to the studio, usually getting there between 4:25, 4:30. And then I actually have admin responsibilities, so I'm not even coaching on Mondays. So I'm working the desk. I'm sending sales emails at 5 a.m. You get an email from me at 5 a.m. saying, come take class. And, I reach out to all the coaches. I send like a weekly email, that sort of thing, which I did not do today because Orange Theory has started their transformation challenge. And so I had a lot of catch up to do from this weekend, and to make sure that we were all squared away to run a successful transformation challenge on that. On that front, I coach 4 classes. And so I'm working the desk from 4:30 till 8:15-ish. And then I coach my first class at 8:45. My last class ends at 1:15. Today, funnily enough, so I got a haircut today. Everyone hates it when I have long hair for the most part. Everyone hates it when I have a beard for the most part. And this is at work and personal life. Although Tay does like some version of beard and some version of long hair sometimes. But regardless of that, everyone at work more or less hates my long hair and my beard. And so I finished class today and I was told that I had an appointment and I was shoved out the door. They said, drive to Sports Clips. I think that's what it's called. I think that's where I went. I went there and they're like, hey, do you have an appointment? Have you checked in online? I'm like, funnily enough, I was pushed out the door by my coworkers and told that they had made an appointment for me to get a haircut, which was true. And they're like, what's the name? I said, Jake. They're like, Jake Fowler? I was like, yep. They're like, okay. So I got a haircut courtesy of my coworkers. That was very sweet of them. And then after that, I came back to work, cleaned the studio, went to the gym. We are in, oh my God, what is this? Week 5 or 6? I'm starting to lose track. We're in week 5 or 6 of pump and run training. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But today was a little bit of hypertrophy work, muscle growth work on the chest. So we'll talk a little bit about, I guess, my strategy for that in a second. And then I just do some accessory stuff. I spent about 30 minutes in the sauna, and because this is one of 2 days that I don't run. And the one cool thing about the sauna, in addition to some of the recovery benefits, it also simulates a mild cardiac response, meaning your heart rate increases, and can mimic some of the benefits of going on a run without actually doing it. So you can actually improve your cardio slightly. It's not the same as going for a run or going for a walk, but you can improve your cardio just by going into the sauna because it simulates a mild cardiac event. Anyways, did that, came home, played with June, had dinner, played with my daughter, took a shower, played more with my daughter and hung out with my wife. And then it was get prepped for the podcast, and here we are. And so that is a day in the life. That's pretty consistent on a Monday. Usually I try and do the pod on Sunday or whatever days it falls on. I try and post it, but this weekend it wasn't going to happen. And so we're doing this pod right now, and we're going to post it basically as soon as it's done. Editing doesn't take too long. I use this cool thing called Riverside, and so it really makes editing easy. And I've got my intro and outro already edited and a couple other things. And so, yeah, pretty solid day from 3:45. It's 8:09 p.m. We'll probably finish this up here in about, who knows, we'll see how long we rock this out for. But anyways, that's sort of a day in the life of your boy. I was feeling a little sleepy, so we got some special drink, which is LaCroix mixed with Alpha Brain, and we're feeling pretty good right now. Tomorrow is a much easier day, but going back to the pump and run training stuff. So I'm lifting 3 days a week, running 5 days a week, and each day I'm hitting chest, but that I work out, that I lift, but I'm hitting chest in a different day. And today's focus is on chest muscle growth to sort of almost to increase the size of the chest muscles, the pecs. And with the idea being that if I'm able to do that, if my muscles are a little bit bigger, I'll be able to get a little bit more strength-wise out of them, a little bit more muscular endurance-wise out of them, and perform the way I need to. I also recently switched up my hypertrophy day. And so I was doing about 70% of 1 rep max for 8 to 12 reps. And so that's about 205 pounds for 8 to 12 reps. And I was doing that, and I was slowly starting to increase my reps. So like it's a rep range. And so I might hit like 11 on the first one, 10, 8, 9 or something like that. That's a pretty reasonable split. But I also do a heavy day on Wednesdays, and that's 5 sets of 5. And we've gone up a little bit in weight. So 5 sets of 5 at 240 pounds. So what I was running into is on Monday, I was bench pressing 205 pounds. Wednesday, I was bench pressing 235, now 240 pounds. And then on Friday or Saturday, just depending on the week, that's when I was going for my body weight, which was the 155, and we're trying to get up to 30 reps. And I think it was just too much weight on Monday and then Wednesday for me to really recover. And so last week, I took it down to 185. I dropped to 20 pounds, and I increased my sets from 4 to 6 and the range from 8 to 12 to 10 to 15. This is a common thing that bodybuilders will do. You'll see rep ranges of 10 to 15 or even 15 to 20, and they'll go until close to failure, like 3 reps in reserve. Some will go closer to failure by the end. Some, like bodybuilding professional Jay Cutler, never went to failure. There's a couple of different techniques. If you're really interested, you can check out, there's a lot of people, but Dr. Mike Israetel is pretty popular right now if you want to check him out. Anyways, I wanted to lower weight to give my joints a little bit of a chance to recover, but also increase total set volume and reps in the process of doing that. 185 and also going slow on the eccentric when you lower and then exploding on the concentric when you press. The time under tension is really what helps you build your muscle when you control the weight like that. And then I'm really focusing on the explosive part to help me on the last couple of reps when I'm really tired, when I'm getting closer to 30 reps of my body weight. So that's the logic if you're following along. 185 with the slow eccentric 2-second lower ripped me apart last week, especially because I did 6 sets. And so I actually, depending on, it's not like a full-blown injury, but I'm just like tight in my upper pec where it meets like the top of my humerus near the shoulder in different positions. I have been able to work through it, and I've been trying to do a good job with recovery, and that's part of why I wanted to hit the sauna, and I'm trying to hit the sauna is to help with recovery, boost growth hormone, especially when I sleep. So I'm trying to do a sauna as close to bed as possible, which sort of do, sort of don't, but we do what we can. Anyways, this week I went down to 175, and I think I'll stay there for my hypertrophy because I felt really good control. It was a little bit lighter, so I think that will allow me to still get the 10 to 15 reps per set. I'll do less damage to myself and allow me to recover Monday night into Tuesday, all day Tuesday, sleep Tuesday night, and then should be good for my heavy bench Wednesday. And the reason I'm doing a heavy bench is because when you stimulate the nervous system with weight that is so heavy and you increase your strength that way, 1, you do get stronger, which is good. But 2, when you go lighter, say to body weight, your nervous system is used to the much heavier weight, almost 100 pounds more. And it just feels to your body much lighter. So part of it is just training your nervous system with the heavier weight, so the lighter weight feels lighter than it actually is. And then Saturdays when I'm doing my body weight, I actually have been doing 5 pounds less than my body weight, because in my head, when I've been thinking about it, because I'm currently at 160, I was like, well, I'll just lose 5 pounds. But I don't know if I'll be able to do that well, because, and I don't mean that I can't lose the weight, because I've lost weight before. It's not something I try and do often, because I like the body weight I'm at. And when I've lost weight, for the most part, it was on accident. But I don't have the mental bandwidth to also track my calories. I just have way too much going on that spending the time tracking all the calories is dumb. I have hit 155 for 30 reps 2 Saturdays in a row. And so because we still have until March 2nd, and it's January 13th as of recording this, just under 2 months, I think I'm just going to go for my body weight at 160. It's only 5 more pounds. I'll probably be able to get it in a couple weeks at the rate we're going. And that'll be that. And then I don't have to worry about doing another thing, because I think increasing bench plus doing better 5K training plus losing weight is too many things. It's too many things. So I think I can just increase the bench by 5 pounds, hit that. The main focus is really the 5K training, which sucks. Last week was the first week where the first 4 weeks I was like, okay, a little challenging, but we're doing okay. Last week I tried to make a jump up in intensity and I adjusted too many variables and it sucked. And it's also, I'm doing all my running outside. So it's like 12 degrees sometimes when we're doing mile repeats outdoors. And not going to lie, it's not super fun, not necessarily having a great time. And I want to, like, when I'm doing it, I'm like, I actually gave myself permission last time I did mile repeats to quit after the second one. Not this week, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so week, that doesn't matter. But, and then I finished and I was like, oh, dude, you said you were going to do 3. You can do 1 more. Because I had upped the intensity. I was like, well, maybe I did too much. I should only do 2 miles. But talked myself out of quitting. So I felt good about that. But like, that's like, I had actually given myself permission and didn't really feel guilty about it while it was happening. And then ended up doing it. So I guess that's good from a mental perseverance standpoint. But it's just starting to get challenging. Last week it snowed a lot here too. So it was like icy everywhere. And I was trying to figure out like, is this safe? I also don't want to get injured. And you're trying to, at least the battle that's going on inside my head is I really care about doing well. So I know I'm committed. And so I want to do the workout. And in my head, I'm like, if I don't do the workout, I'm quitting. But also I think I'm now wise enough to say, no, if you run a mile around this icy park, the snow is uneven, it's icy, you could slip and hurt yourself. You could injure your knee. You could slip and fall and smack your face and do all this stuff. And so don't worry about it. I've been trying to avoid using the treadmill at all costs, but I did use the treadmill for my mile repeats yesterday. And to kind of combat the fact that you do have extra cushion on the treadmill, I did them for the most part at an incline, just a 2%. But it makes a difference, let me tell you. And that also helps build a little strength in the legs going uphill as well. So that's sort of where we're at for the training side of things. The bench side is looking pretty solid. I'm feeling pretty confident of being able to get 30 reps of 160 because that's where I'm at right now on March 2nd. Right now it's just about making my independent miles a little bit faster, making my shorter intervals like the 600s I've got, which are the worst. I think I hate those more than the mile. Making those faster than race pace, which sucks because I haven't done that in a while. And I also had to bail on those because the track I go to was so icy that I had to make the same judgment call. And I didn't have time to drive to a treadmill because I'd already driven to the track. And so I went to the part of the track that was least covered in ice. And I did, for the first time in 12 years probably, I did some sprints, like 100-meter sprints. I was so sore. My biceps were sore from pumping my arms. My abs were sore. My abs are still kind of sore. It's Monday. I did this on Thursday. My legs were sore. It made me realize I need to sprint more. And I mostly did the sprints because I was like, well, it'll help because you haven't sprinted in a while. It'll help when you maybe have to sprint for the finish or help you sprint when you finish your race. So that was the rationalization there. Probably won't do any more 100-meter sprints. Once I get to going from 600, so I'm going to do six 600s this week, then 8 600s the next week, and then we'll switch to kilometer repeats, and we'll do 5 of those for a 5K, and then we'll end with a 200-meter sprint because of 5K is 3.1, but regardless, I want to do that extra 200-meter sprint at the end just to help me with a sort of finish. And so that's where we're progressing with the runs. Mile repeats, just trying to make them faster and then reduce the rest time between the mile repeats so it's as close to a 5K as possible. And that's the strategy. That's what we got going on. I asked my buddies stepmom, Tina, who is the 5-time female pump and run winner, because he told her that I was doing it. I wasn't sure if I was going to tell her or not, but he told her. And I saw her at a birthday party and asked her for some pro tips. And she said, the closer you can get to having a 1-minute rest between your mile repeats, the better. And so right now I'm still trying to work on making them a little bit faster. And then the last couple of weeks I'll work on reducing rest between them. So that's the plan. That's what we got going on. We're still less than halfway. Yeah, still less than halfway. So that's good, but making some progress. I've got a race. When is this race happening? A race. Is it the 2nd? Is it February 2nd or 9th? Probably figure that out. I booked a race. It's the Fifth Line 5K. You finish at the center of the Nationwide Arena downtown, so it's going to be similar terrain, and I'm very excited about this one. It'll kind of let me know where I stand 5K wise, and so that's the sort of update we have going on with the pump and run training. I'm really glad that I'm doing it, though. I'm definitely getting faster again. My strength, which I've done a pretty solid job overall of maintaining. It's been good to specify again, and it's been good to hit the 30 reps of 155. That was my goal, and we hit that 4 weeks in. And with plenty of time, I feel good about hitting the 30 of 160. So I'm feeling happy about that progress. I'm feeling well-rounded. I'm feeling like a hybrid athlete. It's good to train. It's good to have a purpose and an athletic endeavor. So that's feeling really solid. So yeah, that's where we are with that. It wouldn't be a Jake update if we didn't talk about the state of some of the Marvel movies going on right now. And last time I did a solo one, we did an update on Captain America Brave New World. My feelings about that movie have not changed. I have been watching stuff to get prepped for it, though. Even though I said I'm absolutely freaking mortifiedly scared for that movie, I'm still excited, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's a new Captain America movie. It's a big movie from Marvel and the current story that they're trying to tell and move the plot of the MCU forward. And so I'm obviously excited about that. And there's some elements of the movie that I can't lie, I'm pretty stoked about. So whether I'm going to be hugely disappointed for having this fool's hope, we'll see. But what I did want to talk about is what we got coming up for Avengers Doomsday. Avengers Doomsday, when does this come out? May 2026. And there's going to be a lot riding on this movie. And so for those of you that don't know, Robert Downey Jr. was cast as Dr. Doom. And so he'll be playing the main villain of the movie, Avengers Doomsday. And he'll also be in the movie Avengers Secret Wars. If you've read the comics, Doom is I don't even know I guess he's the villain of that movie, but Doom is a big part of Secret Wars. You cannot have Secret Wars without Dr. Doom. Is this Dr. Doom going to be of the main Marvel universe, the main MCU timeline? I have my doubts about that because, and maybe these guys won't even be from the same timeline, maybe they will, but Chris Evans is returning, but probably not as Captain America. So there is a comic storyline that came out in maybe it was 2016, maybe it was 2019, where he was like Captain Hydra. He was basically the Hydra Captain America. And so I think that's what they're going to be doing. But some people think he's playing a character that he was in the past called Nomad. We'll see. It's literally endless possibilities. But RDJ and Chris Evans are coming back. You've got Anthony Mackie, who will be playing Captain America in the movie. Will he be leading the Avengers? Could be. Sebastian Stan as Winter Soldier. Captain James Buchanan Barnes will be in there, as well as some of the cast from the upcoming Thunderbolts movie, which I am more excited about because if you've seen the trailers, they look fun. It looks unique. But Sebastian Stan's going to be in it. Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So Tom Holland will be in Doomsday. He then has his own movie coming out after that, and then he'll probably be in Secret Wars. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him, especially after they ended Spider-Man No Way Home with nobody remembering who Peter Parker was, and him kind of going back to being a broke college student without any sort of tech like Tony Stark tech or that sort of thing, which I think was great. I thought that movie ended perfectly. So I'm a little curious how they're going to play that. You'll have the cast of Fantastic Four First Steps. So that's going to be Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm. And their movie, which comes out in July of 2025, so coming up, we'll probably get a big game Super Bowl spot if I had to take a guess, fingers crossed. But that movie takes place in an other timeline. And so this is definitely going to be a multiverse movie if you didn't know that. Marvel's been fucking around with the multiverse since Endgame ended. And they probably need to stop doing it after Secret Wars. But that's not to say they can't make Doomsday work well. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. You really can't have an Avengers movie now without him, especially a multiverse one. He's kind of a key player. And even though at first I was super into the second Doctor Strange, it does not hold up on rewatch. And in fact, it now makes me angry sometimes when I watch it. Although I can't stop because there are some cool things I like it. And I love Sam Raimi, the director. So there's that. In that movie, Wanda, spoiler alert, sort of seems to die, but I don't think so. And she's kind of reported to be back in Avengers Doomsday, and I hope she is. I hope she gets some character redemption because they've kind of drove her character off a cliff, unfortunately. Haley Atwell is making a comeback. She played Peggy Carter. She was Captain Carter in the Doctor Strange movie, which was cool to see, and she's been doing the voice of that same character, Captain Carter, in the Marvel show What If, which some of the episodes are good, but this last season, season 3 of What If, was so garbage. It was a slog to get through. This website is saying Charlie Cox as Daredevil will be in Avengers. I'm sus on that. He has not been an Avenger yet. He does have his own not Netflix, Jesus Christ. He did have his own Netflix show, and now he's basically doing season 4 of the Netflix show on Disney Plus, coming out in March. That's only 2 months. Jeez, they better throw a trailer out for that here soon, which I'm so excited for. It's got all the same cast back. It's got John Bernthal back as Punisher, who my wife and I both swoon over. So we're really excited about that. And that is it. So we know Haley Atwell's back as probably Captain Carter. We know Benedict Cumberbatch is in. We know the Fantastic Four are in. We know Tom Holland. We know the Thunderbolts. We know Sebastian Stan. We know Anthony Mackie. We know Chris Evans. We know Robert Downey Jr. That is all that we know for sure. My main question is twofold. Where is Thor? Because in my opinion, they need to get Thor back for some redemption after Thor Love and Thunder, which is a hilarious movie, but it is a terrible Thor movie. Hugely entertaining, bad MCU movie. Hilarious, not good. He needs some redemption, and we need to get Hulk back in there as well. I think Hulk needs to be... There's been rumors that they're doing a World War Hulk movie. If you don't know what that is, it doesn't really matter. I think they would make it vastly different from the comics anyways. I hope there's a Hulk movie. We haven't had one since 2008, and I think that would be really good. And what about a Doctor Strange 3? I don't know if they're going to do that before Endgame. And y'all, what about Shang-Chi, dude? Like, is he not an Avenger? He kind of becomes an Avenger at the end of his movie, so... I'm curious about Thor, Hulk, and Shang-Chi for the most part. Where are the dogs at? Because... And then there's also rumors now that, like, Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, are going to be in it as well. Kate Bishop was in the Hawkeye show. She's basically Hawkeye 2.0, and Miss Marvel had her own TV show. She was in the Captain Marvel sequel, which is... just laughably terrible, also extremely entertaining and short. So, but I mean, it actually has some of the components of the movie Spaceballs, but seriously taken in that movie, whereas Spaceballs made fun of, had ridiculous things that were stupid, and this movie steals plot points from Spaceballs but plays them as serious, and so you're kind of like, yo, what is going on? This is some ass right now. But, so is Captain Marvel going to be in this? I mean, I don't know if anyone really cares about that. I don't know if anyone really wants that to happen. I feel bad for Brie Larson. They've kind of done her dirty with her Captain Marvel movies, and no one really seems to care. So, I mean, maybe you do. I mean, the Captain Marvel, the first one made over $1 billion, but that's because it was sandwiched between Endgame and Infinity War. So, I mean, it kind of had the best setup of any movie come out between those two. I mean, you're going to have to do well. And then what about Ant-Man? What is Ant-Man up to? So there's so many characters right now that is going to be the problem of Doomsday and the following Avengers movie, Secret Wars, is there's so many characters and we don't know what they're doing because the main MCU storyline is somewhat non-existent. So, like, how are they going to bring everyone together? There's rumors that there's going to be a recruiting element to this Doomsday movie, which I think I would enjoy watching different folks recruit people. I hope that Captain America Brave New World does some of the heavy lifting for that, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous, but hey, we got season of Daredevil coming out in March, so I'm very excited for that. And otherwise, I don't really have much time for TV. I told my wife the other day, I was like, hey, we can kind of watch whatever you want to watch. I don't really have an opinion anymore. I'm just like tired at the end of the day, and I just want to chill and hang out, which is kind of a big deal for me. I have been known to be a TV hog and to be very particular about what I want on there, but I don't care anymore. I don't have enough time to like care. I end up just scrolling YouTube for the most part, and it's all trash. And I don't care. If I'm going to hang out, I just want to hang out and have a good time with my wife, and whatever she wants to do with regards to that is going to be good enough for me. So anyways, folks, I think that's about it. We're going to wrap it up here, and I appreciate you all for listening. We've got a couple guests down the line that I'm really excited about. One of them has committed to doing this, but the thing we're going to be doing during the podcast, we had to kind of put on delay, and now it can happen. And I haven't even told him, spoiler alert to dude, I haven't even told him that we can do this, but it's going to happen. So fun episodes coming out. Thank you so much for supporting the show, everyone. Keep liking, keep subscribing, doing all the shit that you're supposed to do. And appreciate all y'all. Catch you on the next one. Later.